Hello, hello, salut, I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yansway Rasta, which is to say, my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yansway witchcraft. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Okay, so this is part B of Melchizedek, which is Jah part 1, and then I'll do a Jah part 2, Jah part 3. Of course, everything that Jah does happens with three witnesses. The first witness is the first incarnation, Melchizedek. The second witness is the second incarnation, Yahushua, Jesus. And the third incarnation is Jah, and is the character of his kingship, Ali Selassie I the First. That's Jah 1, Jah 2, Jah part 3. And this is part of Jah part 1, which is on Melchizedek. It's really Melchizedek part B. And it's based on this book, Ancient Mysteries of Melchizedek, by Nambi Woshi E. Lewis. This was a book that, I don't know if it's in print. I bought it from a Rasta elder. Some of the books that you get from Rastas are I think they're published in Africa or something. They have a different look that I see other books from Africa. They like have their own printers or something, I don't know, but I'm not sure how easy it would be to get this book. Some of the books you get are pretty rare. This goes into what the Order of Melchizedek is. So Melchizedek is one of the great mysteries of the Bible, because it only mentions a little bit of Melchizedek. The famous story of Melchizedek is Abraham ate lunch with Melchizedek. Okay, so I better just kind of whiz through this if I'm going to read the story of Melchizedek, which isn't in the Bible. So the reason nobody knows, because there's all this importance on Melchizedek, but yet there's very little about it. Abraham ate lunch with him in his tent once or something, and just little teeny things like that. But then there's the Order of Melchizedek, you know. And then Jesus has the title, the first high priest after the Order of Melchizedek. Okay, so the priests is the tribe of Levi. When Jacob, later named Israel, when he blesses his 12 sons, which would become the fathers of, which would become the 12 tribes of Israel, his son Levi was given the blessing that they would be the priests. So to be a priest, you had to be a blood relative of Levi. And then and Moses was from Levi, and his brother Aaron was from Levi. And then later, Aaron made a different order of priesthood and became the Aaronid priesthood. So we have the Levitic priesthood, which you had to be from Levi, and that was just the basic priest. And then there was the Aaronid, or the Aaronic priesthood, which was you had to be blood related to Aaron specifically, who was from the tribe of Levi, and so was Moses. So the concept of the priests are all things that came out of that. And Melchizedek, there's also some people call it the Melchizedek priesthood, but it's the Order of Melchizedek, which is the Kabbalah we call today. The Kabbalah was something that married men over age of 35 were encouraged to do if they wanted to take the Jewish faith a little bit further, or just the priests would do it. And it's today we would call that the occult, which means hidden. So it's the hidden side of what things mean, what the Hebrew characters mean and everything. And I'm going to have a whole playlist on the Kabbalah. So I won't go into much detail about what the Kabbalah is, but just the components of the Order of Melchizedek, the teachings of Melchizedek, which a lot of this probably comes from Hermes, like everything else, from Egypt and all that. But with Melchizedek, the first thing to bring up is just the importance of the name of Jah. So of the 10 Commandments, there was a 10th commandment that was grossly mistranslated, where it says, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." that should have been translated, "Thou shalt not take the Lord thy God for naught, the name of the Lord thy God for naught," meaning not meaning you shouldn't take away the part of the theology that involves the actual name of Jah, which is Yahweh. So, of course, Yahweh in Hebrew is Yod, He, Bao, He, the Hebrew characters. Let's see if it's written anywhere. Anyway, so to make it snappy, so Yod, He, Bao, He, and some people argue about how that's pronounced. Most agree it would be pronounced Yahweh. So Y, and the things go backwards in Hebrew. So YHWH, Yod, He, Bao, He, pronounced Yahweh. Yod, He, Bao, He is the tetragram, and the tetragrammaton is the pronunciation of it, Yahweh. And some people say if you pronounce it exactly correctly, that the whole universe would be shaken to pieces or something weird like that. But it has a meaning, and it's manifest form. So, and you learn this in the Sefer Yetzirah, in the Zohar, in the Kabbalah. The foundation of the Kabbalah is based on the tetragram and what the meaning of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahweh, means, which is the name of the deity. And to take away this part of the religion is to ruin and dismantle the entire religion, because the whole foundation is on that. So you can see here, it's manifest form. It's Yod is fire, Yod-He is water, Bao is air, and the second or the final He is earth, fire, water, air, and earth. Yod, He, Bao, He. So you can see the first one is like the principle, and then the second one is like the emotional or the spiritual behind it, of the concept that you're trying to create. The Bao is like the air; it's the intellectual substance, and then the final He is the manifest form. So it's to create things. We create things from our thought, and all of the Kabbalah is based on the number 1 at the top of the Sephirah, number 10, and that's the idea, like the light bulb above the head. You know, I'm going to make a cake, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the process of creating that till number 10 is manifest form. And so even within the name of Yahweh is kind of that too. It's starting with the idea, and it goes to manifested form. And so basically, you know, the original concept of Jah wasn't that there's a man in the sky. It's that we connect within, and God is fire, water, air, and earth, and it, you know, is spirit, and is the creative force, the same creative force we use inside of us to create things. When you create things, first you have the idea, then you you know, you think, you know, I'm going to make a cake. Then, you know, the emotional. I really love cake. Yeah, what kind of cake should we make? Let's make a green cake. I think that sounds fantastic. Okay, then the one intellectual. Where's my recipe book? Oh yeah, here's the recipe on how to make it. We need to get this ingredient, that, and gather it together, and then you make it. You know, and then it's the light bulb lights up. Okay, so then when you pray, the proper way to pray, is with the attribute names. And this book teaches there's 12 attribute names, but I've been able to find another one, so I know that there's 13, which is kind of strange. Maybe there's more, but so Yahweh. So when Moses, and I'll do a video on Moses and the burning bush, but the burning bush is your body, you know, because like your nerves and your thoughts are electrical, and it burns, but doesn't burn out like a fire would, you know. So the burning bush is your body, and Yahweh is within that. And the King James Version translates the meaning of the name Yahweh as I am that great I am, because of course I am is the to be verb. It's you know, like is and are, you know, like the to be verb. And God is a verb, is the to be verb. I am that great I am. So it's not a bad translation, but a better one would be, I will, and we know this in the occult, I will be, and the Kabbalah, which is based on, the occult's based on the Kabbalah, I will be what I will to be, you know? So you will things to be. I will be what I will to be, the creative process, like I've talked about. So Yahweh is the self-existent one who wills all things to be. So the first attribute. So when you pray, you're supposed to do this in the Bible translation. And when you hear experts talk about the Bible translation, you'll hear this. It didn't say the Lord, or the Lord is Adonai in Hebrew, or it didn't say, when you read it, certainly didn't say Jehovah, or or any of the things that we say in English that it says. It says Yahweh El Elyon. Yahweh El Elyon is one of the attribute names. It means Jah, the Most High Power. Jah, of course, is short for Yahweh. The letter J is a new invention. So it used to be Yah, but since the invention of the letter J, it became Jah, which is short for Yahweh, so that you're not casting pearl before swine, going around saying Yahweh to the wrong people. You just say Jah, because if you said God is the Most High God in the Assyrian pantheon, so you don't want it's breaking the commandment to use another deity from another religion. You got to keep it Yahweh. So because if you change Yahweh to something else, like the English word God is GAWD, a different deity from a different religion, a different pantheon. Then you can make believe that God's a man in the sky and that a book's his word, and then you can tell people what to do and how to think and things like that. As long as you keep it Yahweh, then it becomes central to the religion that God's within, and then we create things within, and that's where the purity of the religion is, not some book or some man up in the sky. So Yahweh El Elyon is Jah, the most high power. Yahweh Tsebaoth is Jah, the owner of the host of heaven. Yahweh Nissi is Jah, our banner or standard. Yahweh El Roi is Jah, the vision giver. Yahweh El Shaddai is Jah, the breasted one, nourisher, or all-sufficient provider or sustainer. So depending on how you're praying with the order of Melchizedek, like for example, if you were to say, give thanks for the food, you'd say Yahweh El Shaddai. That's Jah, the breasted one, the nourisher, where nourishment comes from. If you wanted to say, like Jah, keep me strong so that I be not judgmental, and that I love one another and follow that example. You might say, instead of Jah, you'd say Yahweh Nissi in your silent prayer. Jah, our banner, our standard, or there's Yahweh El Olam, which is Jah, everlasting power, ancient of days, rock of ages, so like Jah, who's all-knowing of the past and the future and everything, which isn't true. We know we know that Jah's, all concepts of deities are things that evolve with different needs at different times. Yahweh Kesed, the merciful. Yahweh Shalom, Jehovah, our peace. Yahweh Ropeka, our healer. Yahweh Roe, our shepherd. Yahweh Tzidkenu, our righteousness. So that's how it actually is written. So see right here, it goes over what each one is and when you would use those, and that's the proper way to pray according to the order of Melchizedek. So the thing about Melchizedek is I'm gonna read the story real quick, and you'll see who this Melchizedek is. And Melchizedek is the first incarnation of Yah. So there's God the Father, which is the spirit that all things are created from, that we have in common within when we create things like making a cake. And there's God the Son, which is when Jah comes in the flesh, the incarnation. Through our thought forms and our self-fulfilled prophecies, we can bring about a person that fulfills the prophecies and the needs in the form of a person. And that's the incarnation. And then there's God the Holy Ghost, the Spirit, which is which is the part within where we connect with the universe. So Melchizedek, so Levi, of course, to be a priest, you'd have to be blood related to Levi, but the order of Melchizedek is what anyone can do, because Melchizedek doesn't have a genealogy, doesn't have a mom and a dad. I mean, it has a mom, but doesn't, is of a virgin birth. Okay, starting here, and I'll try to make this snappy. I'm already 15 minutes in. Gosh damn it. I'll try to do it fast. And Methuselah said to the people, "Here is Ner. He will be in front of your face from the present day as the guide of the princes." And the people answered Methuselah, "Let it be so for us, and the word of Elohim, the Almighty Creator, be just as he said to you." And while Methuselah was speaking to the people, his spirit was convulsed. And kneeling on his knees, he stretched out his hands to heaven, praying to Elohim, the Almighty Creator. And as he was praying, his spirit went out, and Ner and all the people buried and constructed a sepulchre for Methuselah, and they placed for him incense and reeds and many holy things. And Ner came with many praises, and the people lifted up Methuselah's body, glorifying Yahweh. They performed the service for him at the sepulchre which they had made for him, and they covered him over. And the people said, "How blessed is Methuselah in front of the face of Elohim, in front of the face of all the people." And from there they assembled. And Ner said to the people, "Hurry up today, bring sheep and bulls and turtle doves and pigeons, so that we may make a sacrifice in front of the face of Elohim." Elohim is how you say God in Hebrew. Yahweh is the name of Elohim. The Almighty Creator, and the Almighty Creator is what we were just describing as Yahweh within, how we create things. "And rejoice today, and then go away to your houses." And the people gave heed to Ner the priest, and they hurried, and they brought them and tied them up at the head of the altar. And Ner took the knife of sacrifice and slaughtered them in front of the face of Elohim, the Almighty Creator. And the people made merry in front of the face of Elohim all that day. They glorified Yahweh Elohim and the Savior of Ner, and in front of the face of the people. And from that day there was peace and order all over the earth in the days of Ner, 202 years. And the people turned away from Elohim, the Almighty Creator, and they began to be envious one against the other, and the people went to war against people, and race rose up against race, and struggled and insulted one another. Even in the lips were the same. Nevertheless, the heart chose different things, for the devil became the ruler of the third time. The first before paradise, the second time was in paradise, the third time was after paradise, and continuing right up to the flood. And there arose disputation and great turbulence, and Ner the priest heard and was greatly aggrieved. And he said in his heart, "In truth I have come to understand how the time has arrived that the saying which Elohim, the Almighty Creator, said to Methuselah, the father of my father Lechem. Behold, the wife of Ner, whose name was Saponium, being sterile and never having at any time given birth to a child by Ner. And Saponium was given in the time of her old age, in the day of her death. She conceived in her womb, but Ner the priest had not slept with her, nor had he touched her, from the day that Elohim, Almighty Creator, had appointed him to conduct a liturgy in front of the face of the people. And when Saponium saw her pregnancy, she was ashamed and embarrassed, and she hid herself during all the days until she gave birth. And not one of the people knew about it. And when 282 days had been completed, and the birth had begun to approach Ner, and Ner remembered his wife, he called her to himself in his house, so that he might converse with her. And Saponium came to Ner, her husband, and behold, she was pregnant, and the day appointed for giving birth was drawing near. And Ner saw her, and he became ashamed. Of course, it was like a death sentence. You can't be pregnant by someone else when you're married. That's adultery. They would kill you. So that's a big deal. He said to her, "What is this that you have done, O wife? And why have you disgraced me in front of the face of the people? And now depart from me, and go where you begin to disgrace the disgrace of your womb, so that I might not defile my hands on account of you and sin in front of the face of Elohim, the Almighty Creator. So he yelled and screamed at her, "What the hell?" And Saponium spoke to her husband, saying, "O my El," which means strong one, "behold, it is the time of my old age, and the day of my death has arrived. I do not understand how my menopause and the barrenness of my womb have been reversed." And Ner did not believe his wife, and for the second time he said to her, "Depart from me, or else I might assault you and commit a sin in front of the face of Elohim, the Almighty Creator." And it came to pass, when Ner had spoken to his wife Saponium, that Saponium fell down at Ner's feet and died. Ner was extremely distressed, and he said in his heart, "Could this have happened because of my word, since my word and thought a person can sin in front of the face of Elohim, the Almighty Creator? Now may Yahweh Chesed, the merciful, have mercy upon me. I know in truth in my heart that my hand was not upon her, and so I said, Glory to you, Elohim, Almighty Creator, because no one among mankind knows about this deed which Elohim, the Almighty Creator, has done." And Ner hurried, and he shut the door of his house, and he went to Noah, his brother, and he reported to him everything that had happened in the connection with his wife. And Noah hurried, and he came to Ner, his brother, and came to Ner's house because of the death of Saponium, and they discussed between themselves how her womb was at the time of giving birth. And Noah said to Ner, "Don't let yourself be sorrowful, Ner, my brother, for Elohim, the Almighty Creator, today has covered up your scandal in that nobody from the people knows this. Now let us go quickly and let us bury her secretly, and Elohim, the Almighty Creator, will cover up the scandal of our shame." You know, she died. Let's bury her. Nobody knows about this. And they placed Saponium on the bed, and they wrapped her around with black garments, and shut her in the house prepared for burial. They dug up the grave in secret. And a child came out of dead Saponium, and he sat on the bed at her side. And Noah and Ner came in to bury Saponium, and they saw the child sitting by the dead Saponium and whipping his clothing. And Noah and Ner were very terrified with a great fear, because the child was fully developed physically like a 3-year-old. And he spoke with his lips, and he blessed Elohim, the Almighty Creator. Noah and Ner looked at him, and behold, the badge of priesthood was upon his chest, and it was glorious in appearance. And Noah and Ner said, "Behold, Yahweh is renewing the priesthood from blood related to us, just as he pleases." And Noah and Ner hurried, and they washed the child, and they dressed him in the garments of priesthood, and they gave him a holy bread, and he ate it. And they called his name Melchizedek. And Noah and Ner lifted up the body of Saponium and divested her in the black garments, and they washed her, and they clothed her in the exceptionally bright garments, and they built a shrine for her. Noah and Ner and Melchizedek came, and they buried her publicly. And Noah said to his brother Ner, "Look after this child in secret until the time, because of my people will become treacherous in all of the earth, and they will begin to turn away from Yahweh, and having become totally ignorant, they will put him to death." And then Noah went away to his own place. And great lawlessness began to become abundant over all the earth in the days of Ner. And Ner began to worry excessively, especially about the child, saying, "How miserable it is for me, O Yahweh El Elyon, everlasting Creator, that in my days all lawlessness has begun to become abundant over the earth." And I realize how much nearer our end is all over the earth on account of lawlessness of the people. And now Yahweh El Roi, the vision giver, which is the vision about this child, and what is his destiny, and what will I do for him? And Yah Shemaiah, the hearer, See, there's another one right there. I don't know how many attributes there actually are. Heeded Ner, and appeared to him in the night vision. He said to him, Ner, the great lawlessness which has come upon the earth among the multitude I shall not tolerate, and behold, I desire now to send out a great destruction on the earth, and everlasting, and everything that stands on the earth shall perish. But concerning the child, don't be anxious, Ner, because in a short while I shall send my archangel, something, Michael, and he will take the child and put him in the paradise of Eden, in the paradise where Adam was formerly for 7 years, having the heavens open all the time up until he sinned. And the child will not perish with those who are perishing in this generation, and I revealed it so that Melchizedek will be the priest to all holy priests, and I will establish him so that he will be the head of the priests of the future. And Ner rose from his sleep and blessed Elohim, the Almighty Creator, who had appeared to him, saying, Blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of my fathers, who has told me the great... Anyway, I better skip because this video is too long. But anyway, so you can see, so Melchizedek was born of a virgin birth, and so doesn't have a lineage. We don't know. They didn't keep lineages of women. Women didn't matter in the old days, so they're just kind of insignificant. So some insignificant person, a woman, had a baby from who knows who. Therefore, the baby has no genealogy. I'm being sarcastic, but truthful. That's the way things were back then. So therefore, you don't have to have a certain genealogy for the tribe to practice the Kabbalah, the order of Melchizedek. And the incarnation would be known as, because that's the first incarnation, from that point on, the title, that's why Jesus is called the first high priest after the order of Melchizedek, because the first high priest is the incarnation, the next incarnation of Jah, just like how Melchizedek was. And Haile Selassie, that's why we call him Haile Selassie, because he's within, I and I. We call him Haile Selassie the first sometimes. The first part is because he's the first high priest after the order of Melchizedek. So we create things with our words and our thoughts. Yahweh, Yahweh El Shaddai, Yahweh El Elyon, Yahweh Kesed. We create things with our thoughts, and the process of knowing and doing, we make things manifest. Word, sound, and power, you know. And Yahweh is word, and word created everything that there is, you know. So God is words, and the phenomenon of creating things with our thoughts. Humans are, I mean, our bodies are weak. The defining thing about humans that makes us so powerful over all the animals and everything on the earth is our thoughts, and that we're smart, you know. And that's who God really is, just the fact that we're smart people. And God's not a man in the sky, but is our thoughts, and that's the order of Melchizedek.